Well, great balls of fire, Bubba. What happened, Buford? That crazy son of a Sal blew right through that four-way stop on Main Street and plowed into my cowboy Cadillac.
Your what?
My pickup truck. And I'm pretty sure my leg is broken, Ted.
Oh, quit your bitching, Buford, and talk with those son busters at the Advocates Law Firm. When I got busted up last month, well, shoot, they made sure those snakes at the insurance company played fair.
Boy, howdy. Even that creepy so-and-so Kyle earned his keep.
So if you get injured, the advocates get results. AdvocatesLaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
Hey, Ola, it's Miles. Thank you guys for listening to the Men's Room Daily Podcast.
Have you heard our newest podcast? It's called The Greatest Story Never Told.
Download it today on radio.com. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes are uploaded every Tuesday at noon.
The Men's Room returns with Miles and Thrill. 99.9 KISW.
Yeah, this year just kind of continues to kick us right into Jimmy. We will celebrate the life of
we
Eddie
should
Van
play
Halen
Top
coming
Jimmy.
up. Yeah, why not? Sit and Spin Ryan's on the way. Top 10 guitar solos from Eddie Van Halen. In the meantime, our question, what is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Alex. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola!
Hola!
All right, so this happened back about 7-8 years ago when I was in college, and I had gotten busted for a minor in possession of alcohol the year earlier. So I had to go take a drug test, and I was smoking a lot of pot, and I think it was just supposed to be an alcohol thing, but took the test. They showed up, and they're like, "Hey, you got a lot of heroin in your system." I'm like, "What the heck?
Heroin?"
Yeah, and I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" So they were like, "Hey, man, you tested positive for heroin in your system." So I go up to my roommate who had been buying for us for the time, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I asked the guy, my dealer, what's going on with the stuff because it's hitting real hard." And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been rolling your pot in black tar because I want to start selling." Yeah, and oh boy, there were some. We almost came to fisticuffs over it.
I bet so. Yeah, you never want to take something that you don't know you're taking.
How was weed after smoking that?
I honestly stopped for about a year and a half. I smoked a little bit back and forth. It was just fine. It was just, I did it few and far in between since then.
You didn't. That's not what you ordered. That's the problem.
No.
That is not what you ordered.
I mean, it's funny to mess with someone's drink, but not the drugs. Because drugs, look, Ted and I, and this was an honest mistake. We party years ago, and we rolled a joint, but Ted and I, we put our weed together. Ted rolls a spliff or whatever, and we passed it around probably with 12 other people.
Proper blunt.
Maybe 12 other people. And a lot of people started freaking out. Some people just wanted to lay down. Like they just had to lay down. But everyone that smoked was a smoker. And Ted and I just couldn't figure it out, whatever. And I want to say like a week went by or something, and Ted goes, "Hey, man, I figured out what went wrong." At the time, we were also dabbing in salvia, right? Mm-hmm. Which looks a lot like weed, but salvia is a much different trip than weed is. We did not realize this, so we had rolled this stuff together. So people are getting stoned on weed, but getting that weird pick-me-up off the salvia. We had no idea, but we were just like, they weak, man. They can't handle the smoke. That's their problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I said like 3 times, like, yeah, I guess you guys just never hit a blunt.
Yeah, we were like, God, look at these guys, man. Everyone's like, yeah, I smoke weed. And we're like, oh, we're sorry. Yes, we mix your drugs. Our bad.
What is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
Lunchboxes.
Hello, Willie. Welcome to the Men's Room.
Hola, bicholas.
Hola.
So, years ago, broken up with a girlfriend, had been living with her and had to jump and move out. So Craigslist, of course, and I couldn't be picky about where I went and first place. And after being there for a couple months during the summertime, I came home one night and my roommate's sitting up and he has killed a raccoon.
Raccoon. Thank you for saying it properly.
Beheaded it, and he had skinned it. And I said, "What? You know, this was like all happened during the daytime, and there was apparently 2 raccoons in and out of the front yard and in the street, and 2 raccoons were beating the heck out of another raccoon. Just kept on him, and then they jumped into the backyard. So he went out there in the backyard, and the 2 raccoons jumped over the fence, and the one raccoon that was beat up and hurt was ready to fight and couldn't get out of the yard over the fence. And he took a pitchfork and he ran it through.
Ooh.
And now, previously, just a few days prior to that, maybe a week prior to that, his English wolfhound had died, his old dog. So what he did was he had taken this raccoon, he had taken his dog, put it into a steamer trunk, and put this raccoon pelt over the dog and buried the whole thing in the backyard, and then took a ram's horn and, like a Viking, blew to the four winds to send his dog to Valhalla. I swear to God, that's what he said.
How long did you live with this dude?
Oh, that was the first sign of weirdness. I'd say this summer, just that summer, like 3 months. I came home once. He was upset because somebody had cut the lining in the pocket of his coat, and he thought I had cut out the pocket of his coat.
Did you ask him why he thought you would even want to do that?
Oh, when he kicked me out, he texted me to tell me it was time to go. Yeah, of course I asked him all of that, and yeah, he had no answers. I think he was on some real meds, and sometimes he was okay, and sometimes he just wasn't, and real off.
Have you ever tracked him down on Facebook or anything just to see where his world is?
No, this was in Portland, Oregon, and he is a Saturday market vendor, and I've been down there and seen him still vending at Saturday market.
What does he sell? I'm curious.
He sells the bamboo sheets.
What's that?
He sells the bamboo sheets they have there.
He makes bamboo flutes.
Oh,
so close.
Oh,
good call,
man.
man.
Missed it. A lot of bamboo down at the Portland Saturday market. Food, obviously, but yeah, it seems like bamboo is a big selling thing.
Strangely close. That was weird.
Yeah.
You know the guy?
No, I bought bamboo sheets there, and I just thought they sucked when I brought them home.
Why did you think bamboo sheets?
Because I'm stoned.
What is it about bamboo sheets?
I'm stoned. I'm walking along on the Saturday market.
But what's the sales pitch?
The sales pitch is they are so soft and they are so comfortable.
Like bamboo.
They're almost like satin sheets.
All right.
And a set of them was like $40.
And how are they?
I don't have them anymore because they sucked. I mean, eventually, like, you put them in the washing machine a couple times. They're supposed to last forever, like bamboo does. You can't get rid of it, right?
I mean, bamboo floors are great.
Well,
sure.
You've ever had a bamboo shirt?
I don't believe that I have.
You know what? I did for a minute.
Yeah.
It was from a weed company.
A bamboo shirt?
Yeah, just made out of bamboo.
Yeah.
Well, I
It's incredibly comfortable.
Makes you feel like a panda.
It really does. They're so soft. They just don't have any life.
Are they really soft?
They're amazing.
Okay.
Yeah, I swear to God.
But if you put them in the dryer, it's a wrap.
It's over.
Oh.
What is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
Great sales pitch. They last forever. Ooh, don't dry it.
Right.
Don't dry it.
Right. You're going to clean these?
Oh, don't do that. Hello, Tom. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
How's it going today, guys?
Doing good, man. Best we can.
Mm-hmm. So, my crazy story, about 8.5 years ago or so, back when it was actually profitable to grow and sell your own weed to medical patients, my wife and I were living in a basement of some people up in Everett. And we were only living there for a couple months. My wife was very pregnant at the time. And these people acted nice when we moved in, but soon we found out they were incredibly passive aggressive and just general douchebags. So we decided that we're going to move out. And so at the end of the month, we actually found a house to move to that we really liked, threw down all the money we needed to move in. And, so I go to my roommates and I tell them, hey guys, so I'm sorry it's last minute. We're moving out. But here's next month's rent anyways. Cause
that was pretty generous
we told
of you.
We'd give you,
That was pretty generous of you.
Well, I mean, I was making fair amount of money at the time. And, I wanted to keep the next week or so before we moved out as peaceful as possible. Right. You know, these guys have already shown us that they're not cool. So the next day, this woman, absolute psycho, comes down into our basement where the electrical panel is for the whole house, shuts off the power to the entire basement, including my grow.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm literally sitting on the couch as she just walks into our space, shuts off all the power, and starts to walk back out. And my wife, she's like 7.5, 8 months pregnant at the time. She flips out. She's like, what the heck do you think you're doing? And she's like, oh, well, you haven't paid for power, and so we're shutting off your power. And my wife gets up in her face. She's yelling and screaming at her, and actually, the woman acts like she's going to hit her. And so she's like, go ahead, let's do this. And the woman says,
what are you doing as this is
I'm not going to fight you. You're pregnant. Best line in the world. My wife comes back with, bitch, my face ain't pregnant.
Now, what are you doing through all this? Or are you just smart enough to understand?
I know what you were thinking.
You should stay away from this.
I know what you were thinking, though.
I'm stepping back.
I've tried to impregnate her face before. It doesn't work.
Tried many times.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I step back whenever my wife steps up to somebody. She can handle her own, and if I need to, I'm there.
So did the power get turned back on? Did you save your plants?
Oh yeah. I turned it right back on, and no, we made sure under no uncertain terms were they allowed to come back down in that basement again for the next 8 or 10 days till we moved out.
Okay. And back to the same question Steve asked earlier. Have you ever been in contact with these people? Do you know what their current status is or anything like that?
God, no.
Okay.
Oh, you don't even want to know.
I'm always curious to know about some of the people I've lived with or lived around or just, experiences that have been like, is that person, they can't possibly still be alive, right? Or, whatever the deal is.
There's a couple of people I'm sure they have to be dead, right? Not that you're wishing it, but like, man. And look, we've all been young. We all ran hard. I get it. But some guys ran harder than you did. It's one of those things like you hear about a band like Guns N' Roses, right? They had to kick out their original drummer, Steven Adler, because he was a really bad addict.
Right.
This is a band of heroin addicts, but like somehow he was so over the top. They're like, bro, look, we get ridden up, we cause riots, we get drunk in the street, public defecation, we get in fistfights, but you're the bad one in the band. So you have a couple of like former friends, roommates that are that guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the guy that was the worst of all the guys I knew, Willis, somehow this dude's alive. He was the guy that's always on heroin. Like I never did heroin. He was the heroin guy, and the dude got hit by the car, all this stuff, right? And we just assumed he was going to die. And then for like 2 years, no one could find him. No one could track him down. And he was a really nice guy. We liked him. Everyone worried. And one day he shows up back at the bar. He's put on weight. Actually, the first words out of my mouth, and this is just how guys talk. I didn't even say it to be insulting, but the entire time I knew him, he was a short dude. He's like 5'4", 5'5", but a real skinny guy. We see him, man. He's a plump dude. And I'm like, I never knew you were fat. Right? It's not how I meant it. It's just what came out of my mouth. But he's like, I didn't know either. He's on heroin. He's like, yeah. So he actually kicked his habit, and he's like, part of the reason it worked, part of the reason I haven't seen you is because I could not be around you guys to claim my habit. We're like, that's fair.
I think it depends too. Like if you were kind of friends with people. Like, when I talk about, like, that last place I lived with DB, like, those people kind of came in off Craigslist or something.
Sure.
So we didn't know them. If I saw them, I'd say hello to them, but I have no desire to find out what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. There's a couple, I don't know where they are. I can't find them. I have no idea. I assume, I hope they're alive. I hope they're not in jail. That's all you can
Do you think they're saying the same thing about you?
They don't care about me. There's no way. I mean, like, whatever happened to that jackass? Probably about as far as it goes. What is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Alan. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
So, several years ago, I lived with this guy, and he's out working in the garage. Me and the girlfriend are sitting on the couch, and he comes walking in the house with his hand all wrapped up. But, man, you got to take me to the doctor. And he had just about cut his middle finger completely off.
How did that happen?
Just messing around with the grinder or something. Just horsing around. Doing something he shouldn't have been doing, I'm sure.
Okay.
And anyway, so fast forward. We take him to the doctor, and they put this, like a 4-inch stainless steel pin in his finger to hold his finger on. Fast forward, like, I don't know, 6 weeks or whatever, and he didn't have insurance. So he decided he didn't want to go to the doctor to have this stainless steel pin removed. I come home from work. I go walking into the garage. He's got this stainless thing, had a little ball on the end of it. He's got that locked in the vise. He's leaned back, holding on his hand with his other hand, pulling this stainless steel rod, this 4-inch stainless rod, out of his middle finger.
Is he screaming or yelling, or is he just committed to doing this?
He's just completely committed. He's got his teeth clenched, and he's not screaming. He's just, you can tell it hurts.
Yeah, I bet it does.
He's leaned back, pulling, he's got his weight just greasing on this thing, yarding this stainless steel rod out of his finger. I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, I don't want to pay for the doctor's visit. I don't have insurance. Like, all right.
So was he successful?
Yeah, he got it out.
Oh my God!
He still has this stainless steel rod. And it was.
That's where we're at.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, look, man. It takes a lot for somebody to go to the doctor. It really does. I mean, depending on your circumstances,
the cost, yeah,
the cost alone. I mean, that's huge. And if something really bad has to happen for a lot of people to go. You know what? I got to go to the doctor.
Well, you go to the doctor and you have an emergency. I understand the other point where it's like, this is not an emergency, but I can't afford to pay for this. Mm-hmm. I would not personally do that. I would just suck it up and go bankrupt, but just call me a candy ass.
Yeah, some things, too, like, you think you'll be okay.
True,
like
true.
Hearing that, it sounds like, you should definitely go to the hospital.
I agree.
But I bet that guy wholeheartedly thought he'd be okay.
He pulled it off.
Right. I mean, who hasn't, bandage something up yourself?
Or taking the stitches out of something. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Because you can do it at home for cheap, or you can spend $12,000 for them to cut the stitches
bring your
out.
cat back, get the stitches out. I'm like, I got this.
No.
You know what I mean? I got this.
Sorry, baby.
Yeah. What is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Jacob. Welcome to the men's room.
Hey, what's up?
Hola.
Hola. So this story is back when I was about 17. This actually happened to me when I was living with my sister and her boyfriend. Now, her boyfriend is the problem. He was the type that would probably go and play hide the finger with my sister, come out and smash his fingers against my face.
Oh, God.
Kind of guy. Yeah. Or play karaoke and then share a cigarette with me.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. You drew the picture pretty well there.
Yeah, he's that type of guy. So now that you got a handle on what kind of guy he is, we're swimming one night. We're out there swimming. It was a hot summer day. I was doing my own thing, and he's making this funny face. And he says, "Hey," and I said, "What?" And I pop up from the water, and he throws a handful of poop, and it hits me straight in the face.
Oh, God.
What is with this guy?
Yeah, it was horrid.
Did he poop in the pool?
Yeah, he pooped in his hand in the pool.
How long did your sister date this guy?
Probably about that summer.
Okay.
Wow, man.
All right. I guess you had a pretty decent reason for breaking up with him?
Yeah. There we go.
Once again, bedroom colors, here are the 7 words you can't say on the radio. Sucker, mother, and please keep those words in mind when calling.
Not expecting
now, back
that
to the
story.
program.
Our question, what is the craziest thing that's happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK, and we'll continue to play some Van Halen. Steve, what pick you going with on this one here?
I think this is apropos, right? So Eddie Van Halen died today at the age of 65. We're celebrating with Van Halen all day, and I'm thinking, where have all the good times gone?
That's a good call. All right, here
well,
we go.
Thank you.
Oh, fiddlesticks! What, Wilbur? We just got hit and I think my back has all been out of shape.
You gotta talk with those whippersnappers at the Advocates Law Firm. They're the best injury lawyers around.
What? Pipe down, Clarence! Abner's telling me about the lawyers and the advocates. So what happened to you, Abner?
I was walking across the street with the light when some young punk came screeching around the corner. I lost a toe.
What? Shut it, Clarence! If you get injured, the advocates get results.
AdvocatesLaw.com.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.
You're in the men's room. 99.9 KISW and KISW HD1 Seattle.
More Van Halen coming up throughout the afternoon. I know Taryn will take care of you tonight. And we'll celebrate the life of Eddie Van Halen coming up, and we'll sit and spin. If we can do any justice there, we do have the top 10 guitar solos from Eddie Van Halen. On the way, Ryan Castle, we will sit and spin. In the meantime, our question, what is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Russ. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, liquor and whores.
Liquor and whores.
I got a good one for you. I was in the military back in the 80s. We were like 19 years old, 18, 19 years old. Second tour, and we are all roommate, and we had a hooch off post, and we were all partying with our girlfriends. And a buddy of mine, he steps out into the bathroom with his girlfriend, and he goes in there, and they were, going at it, and he's going, "Hey, guys," and we were all just high, on whatever. And he says, "Hey, come here, look at this." And we walk in there, and he's in there going at it with his girlfriend, and there's rats coming out of the ceiling and the walls. And these rats were as big as cats or like chihuahuas.
Where were you?
In Seoul, Korea.
Okay.
I was stationed in Yongsan South Post, second time.
Okay. And was this normal for the area? I mean, was this the only time you saw those things?
We saw them now and again when we were partying, but we were, pretty wasted at the time. But we walked in there, and he was in there, and there was rats. He says, "Look at the size of these things," and they were big rats.
So big that you weren't even paying attention to what he was doing.
Yeah, well, we were looking a little bit.
Okay, I was going to say, if you call me in there, I'm going to be like, all right, I'll glimpse at the rat. You know what I mean?
For a second.
But then I'm going for other animals.
Rats just sat there and looked at us, and he was going at it with his girlfriend, and, we were partying. We went back to partying, and he's like, yeah,
that's what happens. But that's what you do when you're having sex. Like, hey, man, there's a rattlesnake falling out of the ceiling. Yeah, I'll get to it in a minute. We need to finish this up, right?
And as try as you might, you can't.
You can't.
Yeah.
In the moment you need to, you can't. In the moment that you don't want to, you easily can.
Right.
The moment you want to go to bed, like, I'm getting tired, you're not going to be able to do it. You're just going to have to keep powering through.
I mean, there's
but
worse
the moment you'd rather be up all night,
you
know what I mean? Then no, we got to take a 5-minute.
He's done.
I need to take a break here.
Smoke a cigarette or something.
Give him a TV timeout. We'll be back.
Gonna get you a drink or anything?
Oh no!
A glass of water?
The window closed.
I know.
Right. What is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
Hello, Phoenix. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola, bitches.
Hola.
So, I used to have this roommate about a year ago. I let him move in after I met him through my girlfriend. And things were going all right, and then about, I want to say 6 months in, I found out that he started stealing from me. Started stealing money out of my wallet and stuff like that. It was little things here and there, and I didn't notice. But one time, he decided to go out with some friends, and I had these really nice sneakers. They're about $400.
Did you say speakers or sneakers?
Sneakers, like some shoes.
Oh, okay. All right, now we can hear you. There we go. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. And they were autographed when I went to a show with my brother before he moved to Missouri. So these were white shoes, and they were different colors, and he took them out and just trashed them in the mud.
Oh.
So I decided to kick him out, and he was not having that. So after I locked him outside, and he was just out there smoking a cigarette, and then next thing you know, I hear him banging on my door, and he's like, "Let me in." I was like, "No, I don't think I will." So next thing I know, he kicks in my front door, and I had the deadbolt locked and everything.
And?
Can you guys?
Yep, keep going.
So after that, I had called the cops and called my other roommate, and so we got him out of there. And
What happened? Where did you go?
Well, I don't know where he went. But
We can't hear you.
Oh, put the phone back.
Where did you put the phone back up to your head?
Oh, sorry, my connection's poor.
It's all right. First time caller for any phone call. Go ahead. So what happened?
So after that, I found out that he started telling people that I kicked him out for no reason, that I was stealing from him. So I decided to call him back up, and some beef started between me and him, and I was like, hey, you want to settle this face to face? And he was like, sure thing. So I said, meet me. And then he decided that he didn't want to meet, and so I went to his place, and we had it out. We had a whole huge fight, and ended up pretty bad.
What do you mean pretty bad?
How bad? How bad is pretty bad?
Well, he tried grabbing the rake and throwing the rake at me by the time it was over. And then my buddy, one of my other buddies, he stepped in, and then he was like, all right, man, we got to get out of here. I called the cops. So then me and him left, and that was about it. And then a couple months later, I found out that he was sleeping with my girlfriend at the time he was living with me.
Oh, no.
Damn, man.
So I guess you didn't stay with your girlfriend any longer.
Oh, no, I didn't, because then she told me she was pregnant. I was like, oh, no, I'm not having any of that, because I know it ain't mine.
And was it his?
I assumed that it was his or one of the three other dudes I found out she was sleeping with.
Oh, wow. All right, so it was a good idea that you got out of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
She was like your own personal sperm bank. You just didn't know it.
Whatever happened to her? Do you keep in contact?
I kept in contact with her for a little while, and then I decided it wasn't worth my time, and she moved out of state, actually.
Sounds like she just liked to have her own good fun time. You know what I mean? I don't think she was. I don't think she needed to be in any relationship at that point.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 18. I just turned 18.
All right, that's not. To be honest with you, man, that's not real unusual. That's a lot of numbers, though.
But you don't know at the time.
You don't. Yeah, you have no idea. Because at that point in time, like, I'm having sex. I really like this person.
Yeah.
This is great. I don't live at home anymore.
I don't even know if I really like this person, but I keep having sex with them.
They keep asking me, and I say yes.
Yeah.
This is very
even
exciting.
just the whole thing with, like, stealing shoes, and then he's kicking in a door, and then I respect it. All right, let's have it out, and the guy shows up. But, like, that just doesn't happen as much as you get older.
No.
Not like that, no.
There seems to be a weird, crazy time, though, when you get really older. You start getting a little bit more aggressive, maybe.
Because you have when you see those old guys getting aggressive, it's because they think nobody's going to pop them.
Right. And then they get popped.
Yeah. And then people are like, oh, I can't believe you hit an old guy. Well,
yeah.
Shouldn't
Like
run his
the
mouth.
old guy hit me. It's just one of those things, man.
What is the craziest thing that happened with someone you live with? 206-421-ROCK.
It's not a good look, though.
I know, that's the problem.
No.
That's why I like to send old people to mess with people.
Yeah.
Hey, man, go tell that guy to suck my...
They won't hit you.
They won't hit you. Hello, Madison. Welcome to the men's room.
Hola.
Hola.
Yeah, so talking about like crazy things that happen with people you live with. As you guys know, there's the sad news today about Eddie Van Halen. My dad was his guitar tech for 15 plus years, and would still go golfing with him here and there.
That's cool. Yeah.
So I'm assuming you got to meet him, right?
Yeah. I got to meet him when I was like a toddler. They would have their rehearsal space down in California, and one of the crazy things about the rehearsal space was it was right across from a Lucasfilms storage facility.
Huh, that is cool. Because those are two of the big things in my life growing up. It really is. I mean, that
taking a
block.
break, and they'd go out for a smoke and stuff like that, and like you'd see the guys accessing like all the Yoda puppets and the thousands of stormtrooper costumes.
Hello, Eddie.
Yeah. That's great. If you get a chance, ask your dad if he knows Big Ed Anderson. He was a personal bodyguard to David Lee Roth, but he also managed the band for a number of years. Your dad probably knows him.
Oh, I'm sure he knows him well.
And he is,
and
he's a buddy of mine. He's told me a lot of crazy stories. Just being the bodyguard,
Yeah.
being on the road, and basically being roommates and living in buses with these guys for 5-10 years.
And my dad was in charge of the Rockin' Rudy's libation station, the hotel.
That was changed to Club Dave after a number of years.
All right. So is your father still around? Is he still alive?
Yeah. I actually just saw him yesterday.
All right. So how do you think he's taking the news? Have you talked to him since the news came down?
I've sent some text messages. I've tried to call him. He said, life must go on. And isn't that the quote for 2020? But
yeah, no kidding.
They were high school buddies. That's where they met, and they've toured together for years and years. And I think there's a lot of good memories.
I'm sure there are.
And a lot of good tunes left for us to enjoy.
Yeah. Hey, you hit it on the head right
there. How did he meet your mother? I'm curious.
So it was on Guns N' Roses tour. Either them or Motley Crue.
Uh-huh.
They were in Canada.
And your mom showed your dad what?
This is a quote from my grandmother, my mom's mom, Beth.
And your dad was immediately in love.
I guess King in the North,
Okay. And are they still together?
No.
Oh, see, that's
rock and roll.
That's the worst part. Because once you've had the very best.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, now you're just eating a regular old saggy hamburger.
That's why I feel so bad for all of my exes.
At least those sorts of gifts you can pass down, right?
Yep, that's fact.
Did you get those from your mom then? I mean, is that what you're saying? Like, hey, I've got the best breasts in America. Technically, they're Canadian breasts.
I'm Canadian, so, I think there's a little less competition, but I'm not complaining.
Do you pour a gravy on them like poutine?
You know how to have a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever been complimented on your breast just based on you say, hey, just thank my mom?
I try not to go too much into the family history, but I've said a lot of thank yous.
Well, congratulations on having the second pair of best breasts in Canada.
Second best breasts in all the land.
If we could just get there to see him, trust me, we'd probably drive up and say, hey,
she's right.
Oh, Canada.
Look at that.
Oh, Canada. Yeah.
Stand on guard for these.
For these. Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. So what's the craziest thing that happened with someone you
live
live
with? It's been a rough day, with the loss of Eddie being a family friend and all. Thanks for giving me a laugh. Really needed that.
Okay. No
hey,
problem.
no worries, man.
Yeah, appreciate the call. All right, very good.
Huh. What are the odds of that?
I don't know.
You could be a guitar tech for any band or whatever kind of roadie, right? But what band, as far as
she just named it,
being a dude,
she just named it.
Van Halen is definitely up there. Because, when they were on top of the world, I mean, vagina, literally, it fell from the sky. They had to use umbrellas when they walked outside. They would just get hit with ass.
Right.
Van Halen, who do you think, Ted?
Crew.
Oh, God.
That would be, okay, but the level...
That might be more than you could even deal with.
The level of craziness is just through the roof on that one. So
it is, but
But I'm a roadie. I'm not in the band. So
right. I'm just looking for leftovers.
Right. Yeah. I'm eating at the buffet after the important people have eaten, right?
Trust me.
So if there's a chicken wing left, sure, it's a little cold, it's a little soggier than I would have liked, but I'm go ahead and eat that chicken.
And nobody who's a fan of Van Halen doesn't like Motley Crue. I mean, I don't think anyone says, Motley Crue's great, I hate Van Halen, or vice versa. Right. I think the saddest part of all this is that, there were they talked for a number of years about trying to get back together in a number of different ways. Obviously, they reunited with David Lee Roth, went on a couple different tours, released a couple new songs and all those things. But there was always speculation that maybe at one point in time, because I know Roth was up for it, that he and Sammy, they would go out with Van Halen and they would alternate nights.
Now you need to keep in mind so
in other words, one band would be first and then the other band would be second, then they would rotate. So maybe Roth closed one night, the next night Hagar did. Hagar would open that other show, vice versa.
One thing about the Sammy Hagar, David Lee Roth thing, if you were not around when all this went down, right? It was like 85, 86, I guess, right? They switched singers. Long before there was any thought of David Lee Roth leaving the band, David Lee Roth and Sammy Hagar hated each other. I mean, it was they had nothing to do with each other. They just didn't like each other, right? So all of these barbs would be traded. So when Van Halen announced, not only that David Lee Roth was out of the band, but they're replacing him with Sammy Hagar. I mean, this was the ultimate middle finger you could give anybody, right? But David Lee Roth tried to be cool. Both of them tried to be cool for the most part. But the media, as the media does, would not let it go. So they kept trying to ask them what they thought of each other. And I always remember this quote from David Lee Roth, because they said something about Sammy Hagar's mad about something. And David Lee Roth's response was, You ever seen him up close? I'd be mad too.
Right.
Like,
it was just
this typical David Lee Roth.
It was this back and forth weird thing.
For years.
Like David Lee Roth decided, the band decided to part ways. So just like anything else, Eddie Van Halen goes and looks for the best person to front Van Halen. That ended up being Sammy Hagar, and also brought a different aspect to the band because now you've got two guitars going at it there. And
but I mean, this
layers
is the
of
guy
music.
that David Lee Roth
Can't stand.
hated the most.
So he was pissed off at Eddie. So what did he do? He went and got Steve Vai.
Right. Which
So
was,
he's
that
like,
was the
there's like,
reason.
If you think you're a guitar virtuoso, I've got this guy's where no chicks come to the concert, and he'll play on my album.
Right.
And so he replaced.
This is
him with
honest
Steve
to God
Vai,
truth,
which
man.
is
I mean,
personal back punch at Eddie. Like, look, man. All right. Well, these are all guitar. I can pick from Eric Johnson. I can pick from all these guys who nobody knows who a clue of now.
Mm-hmm.
But in that time, Steve Vai was like, oh boy, they're going.
Keep in mind, Steve Vai, he enters the David Lee Roth band. For most people, that's the first time we've heard of this guy, and he can shred. I mean, he's an amazing player, but he's a pretty demure, laid-back dude. So when David Lee Roth and the rest of Van Halen are just chirping back and forth for years, man, this poor dude's like, I just want to play the songs, man. I don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
David's like, no, man, you're the band. You need to tell him. Like, I don't really want to tell him that. I just want to play. Yeah. This went on forever. It was kind of a crazy thing in the rock world.
But
then all these years passed.
Then why
everyone
did
gets
Hagar
older.
leave?
Hagar left because the band just basically broke up. One of the main reasons was because Eddie Van Halen was talking to those guys about possibly not bringing Michael Anthony in the band anymore because he wanted his son to play with him.
All right.
So when they got back together with David Lee Roth, all of a sudden you've got Michael Anthony who's out of the band. Now Michael Anthony had been playing a lot with Sammy anyway, and they kind of went there.
Chickenfoot. Remember they had Chickenfoot.
Remember when Chickenfoot came in and we had Joe
Satriani, Chad Smith.
Chad Smith from the Chili Peppers, and then Sammy Hagar called up and just
Mini-Me.
Yeah, that was
Joe Satriani, man.
But do you remember in the middle of that interview? This is honest to God truth, Mike. We're in the middle of this interview, and by the way, Chad Smith looks exactly
Spot
like
on.
Will Ferrell. I mean,
He really does.
And he's just as funny. You know what I mean? So he's the drummer for the Chili Peppers, but he's playing in a band called Chickenfoot. Michael Anthony is the bassist in the band. Joe Satriani is the guitarist. He does look like Mini-Me. And then we're giving them a hard time about, we're just joking around about something, whatever. And all of a sudden, Sammy calls the hotline and just starts laying into us. Like, you jackass pieces of crap, DJ, mother. You know, like he just absolutely lit the hell into us. He was joking around. We're like, well, Sammy, why the hell didn't you come in studio? Those guys were laughing and having a fun time. That was a great band, too, but it ended up more being a Sammy Anthony camp, and then
that was it. It's like, you're not going to bring back Michael Anthony. I don't nothing against the kid, but
and the
that's
problem
not
is
who I play with.
we're never going to see Van Halen again. I know that there are guitarists out there that can try to play Eddie Van Halen, but I can tell you this for a fact: when I saw David Lee Roth as a solo act, he basically goes around and hires studio musicians to play in his band. And when I say studio, most of these guys have been in a number of bands.
But they're precision players.
They're precision players, yeah. But they've been in like Atomic Punk too.
Sure.
And all these other cover bands where Van Halen tribute bands will go down the road. Ray Luzier, who's now the drummer.
Luzier.
Drummer in Korn was in that band.
Yeah.
So, like, these guys are good. The only missing link to the David Lee Roth band, and they were covering Van Halen, was Eddie Van Halen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it wasn't that you could, beat the skins like Alex Van Halen and play that well, but they were comparable.
Sure.
But it was a glaring difference with the guitarist.
One of the biggest moments in my buddy Tony's life, and I brought up Tony a million times. He's one of the most fantastic guitar players I have the privilege of knowing, and I will stand by that to the day I die. But when we met, we are young teenagers. At that point, he was a guitar player that I knew. Pretty good, but, come on. But time has gone on. But anyway, it hit the mountain that he wanted to climb. And it took him maybe 3 months, and I remember this day. He called me, told me to meet at the practice space because he had done it. I'm like, what have you done? I have finally nailed Eruption. I mean, like, for him, this was the greatest thing. And I remember, like, no, he hasn't.
But you told him.
Seriously. But no, that was my thought. But I remember, and that's the thing about Tony. Tony can shred anybody. I promise you that. But, dude, laid on Eruption. I think he was 14 at the time, and our minds were blown because at the time that was like the single coolest guitar solo you could do.
What tune did you pick out, Steve? What do we got here?
I don't know. It's everything I'm looking for. Castle doesn't have in the program, so it makes it. He doesn't want to dig deep, man.
Eddie Van Halen passed away this morning.
This podcast is brought to you by the Washington State Department of Health. As we continue to listen, learn, and grow, we are amplifying Black voices and perspectives in an effort to start a new COVID-19 vaccine conversation. We're sharing stories intended to help us navigate this unprecedented time together and to co-create solutions in support of the Black community. Hear these stories at weconsiderwa.org.